Hello and welcome to Chatter Cave, where we discuss everything from movies to TV to video games to whatever the fuck we can think of. I'm your host, Drag King Thomas Hughes, and as usual, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Nicola, aka Hayden Roberts.
Raw and Godzilla.
Yep, as you can tell from that, today we're discussing Godzilla, released in 2014 by fellow Englishman Gareth Edwards, who would, prior to this, helm the movie Monster, which I'm not a big fan of, and following this would direct the very good Star Wars prequel, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
Whenever you say Star Wars prequels, my mind always goes to like the meme.
Sequel to the prequels, but prequel to the originals. I'm trying to put your mind in the time frame of this.
That means going. Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Between episode 3 and 4, that sums it up for you. Right before episode 4. Good film, that is. I recommend it to anyone watching. Anyway, the movie stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was the main star in Kick-Ass and its sequel, and as well as playing Quicksilver in Avengers Age of Ultron, which also starred his co-star here, Elizabeth Olsen, who would play Wanda in that and the following two Avengers movies, and Captain America Civil War.
Sweet home Alabama.
We'll get to that later. She's obviously also going to be playing Wanda in the WandaVision Disney Plus series when that comes out later this year, next year, whenever it decides to come out. Load of rumours about when it's going to come out, but also stars Bryan Cranston here of Breaking Bad success and the very highly underrated Power Rangers movie from 2017. We also have Ken Watanabe from Batman Begins, where he played Ra's al Ghul, as well as Inception. And finally, you have Sally Hawkins from the two Paddington movies, which are very good, and Shape of the Water, which I mentioned about three.
Fish porn.
Yeah, that one I mentioned about 3 reviews back. The movie focuses on the world as it is introduced to monsters, with one of them being the world's only hope of surviving. I wonder which one. It can't be the guy on the actual, cover of the case or anything. It's definitely going to be one of those evil ones that are just rampaging through.
Yeah, you're rampaging through all the time, breathing fire everywhere.
Well, atomic breath. Get it right. You're laughing at that.
So, we'll get into the film then. So.
No. What were you laughing at then?
Well, it wasn't atomic breath. Cause I remember the start of the film is all like old wartime music over a massive, really bad overlay of film reel with lizards, and then the big like little tiny Godzilla came up and started breathing fire everywhere. And there was a guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It was chaos. A really shit film.
Wait.
I watched the wrong film, didn't I?
I think you watched the wrong film. Though. I think you watched the very shoddy 1998 movie. Sorry, Matthew Broderick.
I watched the shit one. Fuck.
So I'm going to solo review this now. So sit back and listen to me talk.
I remember like thinking, this doesn't feel right. It feels like the one that I watched as a kid. But I powered through it. Committed suicide, then came back again and watched the real one.
Yeah, don't worry. She did watch the real one. This is a joke. Not the being shit film. No, that's not a joke. It actually was a shit film.
I wouldn't watch it. I just watched like the first few seconds just to make the joke.
Well, we almost did. What? Did you actually watch the first few seconds to make the joke?
Yeah, so I can get the joke right.
Oh, we're not even gone to that much effort for that. I thought I just read it on Wikipedia. Oh yeah, that was it. I remember that.
I couldn't watch all of it. Fuck that.
Imagine how if you got really into it for some weird reason, you started watching it, and then you come down to doing this, and you're like, "I should actually watch it." I started watching the old one as a joke, and then got really into it and forgot to watch the new one. What happens if that had happened? This would be a very bland review of just me talking.
Yeah, it's me to be another film.
Trying to make the comparisons to why you prefer that movie. Oh, me anyway.
Because I'm dumb.
Anyway, we'll get away from that piece of crap and
it's awful.
Steer into this 2014 edition. So, this movie does start with old footage,
but it looks better.
Yeah, because it obviously starts the atomic, the nuclear explosion.
It shows off like evolutionary stuff and that, and goes to them whole atomic stuff, like them showing them using the nuke, and then it actually shows them nuking the lizard boy.
Yeah, it shows you them nuking the Godzilla as he's slowly coming out of the ocean. Since obviously
Mm.
we don't know this yet. This what it's all about. We just see him nuking what we can tell is Godzilla, but we don't know
Mm-hmm.
much about it yet. But it does actually go into a bit more detail in a bit, so that's good there.
Then it cuts to the Philippines.
Yeah, so this year I think this like bit at the start is just a great way to start the movie.
Mm.
Obviously, utilising the old footage, give a little backstory to how Godzilla's like in the sense there, and the fact that obviously it shows you they want to kill him and get rid of
Mm.
him. So I just think it's like an inventive way of how they did it, utilising that old footage better than how the shit one
The shit
utilised the
one
old
did.
footage with
Like
the
it was
guy
literally just like
scared of fire.
bits of beach, a nuclear explosion, I think, at one point, and it just showed like lizards. It was just lizards as well, like normal lizards, as if to think like the radiation mutated the lizard into a giant thing. It was shit.
But yeah, but the movie, the thing actually go
This
into an
one was
actual
good.
film and go into the
Yeah.
Philippines where you're introduced to Monarch's two top members, Dr.
Mhm.
Serizawa, obviously played
And
by
the English girl.
Kimoshinobu, and he's actually a character straight from the original 1954 Godzilla,
Hmm.
which, spoiler alert, if no one's ever seen that, he dies at the end. He actually kills Godzilla in that. Whereas this version of him is the opposite. He obviously wants to protect Godzilla at all cost. They basically just did the opposite character trope with him. And yet, the English actress, Sally Hawkins, is playing Vivian Graham here.
Mhm.
And the two arrive in the Philippines by helicopter and are taken through a collapsed mine where they find cocoons of large life forms, with one of them
Like
obviously broken open.
it remains like a big skeletal,
Yeah, I
like which is obviously like one of Godzilla's species, probably.
think it was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like an older version that obviously died.
Yeah, similar trope to what they did in obviously when we watched Kong. They do a
Mm.
similar thing with that with you see the remains of Kong's parents, so it's similar sort
Yeah.
of vein to that. But yeah, obviously it leads to him obviously saying, "Oh look, they've gone. There's so much out of here," and they see that obviously the massive hole where so much escaped,
Mm.
and you're like, "Oh, where's it gonna go? Hmm, maybe the next scene in Japan." But yeah,
Oh. Oh.
I think this is like a good way to introduce these two characters. It's like
Mm.
very quick, so not obviously drawn out, like
Mm.
explaining who they exactly are. It's just like, oh yeah, this is Doctor Zozo, and he's part of Monarch, and you're like, oh, okay. It's obviously quite a quick intro, which sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but in this case, it's
Mm.
good. Very similar to obviously yours, obviously
Yeah, and like it shows well that
more
they're
realistic.
obviously chasing after a something. Because he even references the fact that do you think it could be him? Maybe. But this one looks older, or kind of like little things that like reference the fact that he knows a lot about Godzilla.
Can you stop trying to do an old Japanese sort of voice, but
No,
also not
every
trying to
time
push
I
yourself,
keep think,
not trying to push
hearing
yourself into that voice because you know you're going to sound like a racist.
like
I
every
could tell
time I
by
watch,
your voice that you're trying to, but at the same time you're holding back so you don't get called a racist.
every time I hear like
Until the very end, then
Godzilla,
you actually did kind
I
of got a
think of Austin
bit racist
Powers.
then.
I just think of that scene in Austin Powers every time, where and that one guy's like, ah, it's Godzilla, and then Hero from Heroes like, he's like, actually, did you copyright what it was? It's not. I just keep thinking of that every time I say it. It was,
Just don't try and do the accent again, please. I don't want to get banned
I want
here.
you cancelled, right?
Oh. Anyway, so next scene introduces you to your next two protagonists of this movie, Joe Brody and his young son Ford.
Hmm.
Obviously, he'll grow up in a bit, but
Mm.
he also introduces his wife Sandra,
Yeah,
who isn't,
it's totally important. It's totally
sticking around. Yeah,
important.
she's definitely sticking around for this movie, not just here to say, oh yeah, this character's got now a reason for wanting to fight later on, but she's
Mhm.
definitely sticking around. Um,
Totally.
so again, number two quick introductions, which again work great here.
Mm.
Joe's obviously shown from his little introduction that he's obviously a dad who's always working, while Ford's obviously shown that he loves his father,
Mm.
as he's obviously planning a party. That was the whole
Yeah.
scene of his introduction. He was trying to plan a party for him, which didn't happen because he was awake. He's like, oh no, he's awake. Oh, okay. Do it later. Oh, yeah, Sam.
Oh, I will say though, like, do you know when you first see him as a kid, and he walks
Yeah.
past? Is it me? Or is there a poster of Mutos on there? I swear, it's like a little poster, and camera you can focus on it, and it's got the Mutos on it, and it was like so confusing when I first saw it.
Um,
I was like,
I,
What?"
I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to the background.
I didn't know if that was like an Easter egg or something, but
I'll,
it looked like the Mutos.
I'll have to look into that after
Yeah,
review.
sure.
Um,
But I swear it was. It was really confusing.
I'll have a look in a bit. But anyway, so the next scene's Ford heads off to school. Joe and
Mhm.
Sandra head to work together since they obviously both work at the local reactor. And
Mhm.
Sandra heads into the actual reactor part, while obviously Joe stays up in his usual computer area with the guy
Mm.
from, as I said earlier, Scooby-Doo Mystery Begins, since he makes a little cameo role in this.
So
Vice
ironic,
Principal
man.
Grimes. Yeah, ironically, literally not long reviewed that, and then next minute it's in this.
Uh,
But yeah, anyway, so the reactor starts playing up, uh, starts to collapse, explodey. Uh, Joe runs off to the reactor room door, since obviously his wife's in there,
mhm.
and he's like telling her to hurry up, get out, and she's like, "Oh, you have to close it," and he obviously is then forced to make the
Mm.
biggest sacrifice he could possibly make, and that is sacrifice his own wife, save everyone, which obviously kills him on the inside. Which you can tell
Mm.
by his scream as when he hits the button, while the camera's zooming down that tunnel towards him with all the smoke. I do love that scene, just the camera
Mm.
angling of that. It's really well done. And you can see the tears in his eyes. And on top of that, it doesn't help the fact that the glass door behind him starts knocking the window, and he turns around. And he's like,
You're
"Oh,
like,
I'm sorry, I'm
"Hey,
sorry."
bitch."
And then she pops up, and he's like, "Oh no!" So basically, it's like even more of a kick in the balls for him.
Like, if he had held on that few
But he couldn't
seconds
know
after.
because he just got blasted by that fucking
Mm.
the steam and smoke and whatnot. So he had that choice to do. Even though obviously it doesn't mean anything for the fact that it goes down anyway. But
Oh, yeah,
uh,
everyone goes bye-bye, but still.
and on top of that, then the second door covers the window, so he's like even more. He's like, "Oh shit!"
Hmm.
And it then cuts to Ford, who's at school when the alarm goes off, telling them,
Yeah.
"Oh, get the fuck out, man! Get the
Yeah,
fuck
he's
out!"
sitting there. He's the only white kid there, surrounded by those Japanese kids, and he just like everyone's like doing normal stuff. He's just there staring at the window, seeing the plant collapse, and he's like, "Oh god, what's gonna
Yeah,
happen?"
he doesn't know
And
if his
then
parents are alive or dead.
yeah, and then he grows up
Exactly, but
into Quicksilver.
I think this is obviously a great way because obviously you had these like little ways to start the movie, but this is obviously the
Mm,
scene that really kicks the movie off,
yeah,
and I
because
think it's a great way to start it because obviously you got we had most of the character reveals apart from the one we'll get in a minute.
mm,
Uh, Plus, if you want to completely send someone over the deep end, which he does, your best way is to take one of the things he loves, and that's obviously to kill his wife.
yeah,
Since they can't kill his son, since he's the rest of this movie.
yeah, he
And
literally is that was the movie.
so yeah, I do really enjoy this way of starting the film.
Yeah, and then of course they're like when you see the thing collapsing, he grows up. You cuts to him being like in the army. Is like a
Yeah,
bomb expert, isn't he? Like
he's a
he
bomb
deals with,
expert. He's in the
which is
military.
totally not going to come into
To play
like
later on.
fruition at the end. No,
Yeah,
it's not
so
important.
it obviously cuts to him on the plane, doors open. It's obviously revealed
Yeah,
he's all grown up during the military, and that he's actually just coming back home to his wife and son,
actually, he's got a kid with he's got a kid with his twin sister.
which I'll get to in a minute. again, this is obviously another quick introduction because you don't even really know her name at this point. It's just like,
Mm.
oh, she's here.
But like, you don't really need
Okay,
to know her name 'cause, like, well,
exactly.
that's his family.
Again, it's not a major scene, but it gets, as I say, it gets it across that this is family. So
Mm.
a
And it,
nice,
it
good
sets
one.
up more emotion for like later on.
Yeah, and just to touch what we've been joking about, I just want to say it's very weird that the two actors here who are playing obviously husband and wife in this movie, literally 2 months prior, 2 months played
Twin brother and sister.
twin brother and sister in the end credits of Winter Soldier, which
Yeah,
obviously came out in March 2014, whereas this came out in May
yeah,
2014. So kind of weird, and obviously then the year later portrayed siblings again in
yeah.
Age of Ultron. So I don't know. It's funny, but it's really weird at the same
And
time.
it probably weirded out the directors of, like, writers of Age of Ultron. They was like, yeah, let's kill Quicksilver so it's not as weird.
We gotta kill one. Don't look like we're sexist. Let's kill him.
Let's kill them both.
He's in X-Men at the moment. No one's gonna miss him.
Oh, it'll be fine.
I miss him. I would like to
No,
see more from
he
him.
was good.
I
Like, I
would like.
remember you saying like, oh, you preferred that one.
The X-Men one has grown on me a bit more, just for the
Yeah,
many
definitely.
many
Like,
slow mo joke scenes.
I
But
like, I do like the X-Men one,
for
but
the fact
he
they
was,
didn't fully go with uh, Magneto, I'm his son. It never
yeah.
happened. That's the one downfall with that. Whereas
Mm.
this version, obviously, he's not comical. He's just a bit more mature, which I do like.
It's like
Which obviously
he's more serious because of like
everything
he's
that's happened.
still he had to grow up to protect his sister, as you can see.
Exactly. But yeah,
But this isn't Age of Ultron. This is
yeah. No,
Godzilla.
this is Godzilla. This
So
is like a year before. But yeah, it's still kind of weird that the fact that
yeah.
married couple are also siblings. Weird. Anyway, Sweet Home Alabama all summer
So I was
long.
thinking while watching it.
So anywho, after a weird cuddle session, which again you sit there going, "Yep, these two are not siblings in another movie. They're
That
not.
kid's
They're
got some weird
not."
genetic problems.
uh, Ellen Brody gets a call, which reveals that Joe has been arrested in Japan since he's still over there,
Hmm.
which forces Ford to once again have to leave his family to go bail his father out. But Japan,
Oh, yep. Cut to Japan. Obviously, you see the father has become a little bit. Obviously, he's in the
crackpot.
comes at the
I
Japanese
think it's been on
prison.
that crystal meth a bit too much.
Yeah, he's a little bit obsessed. Just saying. To
Yeah,
be
obviously,
expected,
because
but
to obviously him in jail,
mm,
gets bailed out. But before he gets bailed out, you witness that with like a family that's in there like, bailing at their kid, and just like completely like disowning their
rock a
kid.
rock a Japanese kid.
Yeah, like really disowning him. And then obviously it comes to the opposite way around of a son bailing out his father. I do like that. So obviously got the parents waiting for their kid to get out,
Yeah,
and the other way is the kid waiting for his dad to get out.
like you
It's
expect, like the one get arrested is always going to be like the naughty kid,
yeah,
just
it's
from
quite
the
it's quite
parents
funny.
bailing out. But it's not.
It's quite
Yeah,
fun. And
ironic.
obviously the two go back to Joe's home
Hmm.
where he shows off like all the stuff he's been going wanting to do, and eventually after like an argument, uh, Ford managed to persuade him to go back to meet, obviously, well, not meet, but go see his wife and grandkid since he hasn't seen them for a
Mm.
very long time. And so they agree. He goes to bed, yada yada yada. Wakes up. Ford obviously sees him on the radio talking in Japanese to someone. And again, another argument goes on here about the fact that Joe wants to go back to his old home, get his files, his tapes, I think it was, or something like that.
Mm.
And again, eventually,
Later.
the other way around here, Ford's like, oh, fuck it, fine, let's go get them. So they, the hazmat up and head off home.
Honestly, we get revealed as well that the whole like city has no
radiation whatsoever.
radiation whatsoever, which obviously is a massive big foreshadow to how the whole Mutos and Godzilla work.
Yeah. So obviously that scene that's revealed when Joe sees like the dogs run past, and he's like, okay, and he takes his mask off, which
Like, they ain't dead. Why are they dead?
you see his son like getting really scared. He's taking it off, like, no, stop, 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 and he takes
Mm,
it off. And it's quite a tense. It's a really good tense moment because you're like, okay, if his theory is right, then he's fine. But if he's not, he's just gonna die right in front of his
yeah.
son. You're like,
It's like, what if like the
dogs
technology,
had
like the thing's
adapted to it or
broke?
something.
Yeah, 'cause, like what if that thing's broke and
Exactly.
it's not revealing any radiation? Really, there is.
But yeah, what I
We
wanted
don't
to
know
say
yet.
as well, which is the bit before this, obviously, when they were arguing the second time,
Mm,
I like the fact they had a lot more depth to Bryan Cranston's character Joe, with the fact that
mm,
he feels guilty over his wife's death.
because he's the one that
Yeah, he blamed
locked
himself
it.
for essentially killing her, even though he obviously had no choice. He made the
Mm.
sacrifice. He had no choice, but he still feels the guilt of that. So
He wants to explain why it went down. You know, if he doesn't believe that it was just a
yeah,
simple earthquake, he
uh,
wants to.
find out the truth.
Mm,
So that, I was just say, even though we haven't seen the big guy yet, I think this so
mm.
far has been the right direction for the movie. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
it's built other than like, what the sequel does when it's like, oh yeah, he's Godzilla. This is obviously building up, building up, building up because this is the first film. You want it to build up, which is why I think they were like the second one. I don't really want to build it up here. Just give me Godzilla. You fucking know he's
No
there.
point.
You may as well
God,
fucking have him. Whereas this obviously he's building up. It's building up quite at times. It's just like a natural disaster, and then next minute
mm.
Godzilla,
Because
which
everyone
is good.
knows that like everyone's like always really always seen Godzilla as the bad guy as
Exactly.
well. So
Apart from some movies where he's like the good guy and he has to fight the actual
yeah,
bad guys.
but like for American audiences, a lot of them have probably seen just in the 99 the shit one and think,
Yeah, because in that one, obviously,
oh
he's a straight up bad guy just rampaging for
yeah,
the city. Whereas,
and just
obviously,
spread
as I say,
monster.
the OG Japanese one is the exact same. So they pretty
Mm,
much did the exact same there. But a lot of the later sequels
they turned it into
didn't.
more of
They
a
turned him into more of a good guy and had him like fighting,
like an anti-hero kind of thing.
like a Deadpool. Like he
Mm.
fights for both sides in a sense.
Fights bad guys, but sometimes might be like, "Do you know what? Fuck you, humans.
Yeah, I'll just give you a little
I'm gonna
crush here on
break
my
your
foot.
building."
Exactly. And obviously, then they did the Shin Godzilla, which is the 2016 version, which came out like 2 years after this film, which is Japan's
Mm.
like way of going, oh yeah, we'll reboot the franchise. Again, they made him bad in that, but this obviously we'll get to later. But you know, he's not the bad guy.
He is the protector, which will reveal.
Yeah. So as I say, after the hazmat scene, they managed to get
Mm-hmm.
back home. They find the files,
On the
and then they
papers.
head outside because they hear obviously the helicopters, and they
Mm-hmm.
watch as the choppers head back to the plant, which obviously
Mm.
Ford states. He's like, wait, are they rebuilding it? And he's like, I don't know. And
And
then
then
they
obviously,
get arrested.
yeah, they get arrested and they're taken to the plant. So obviously, when we get to see
The
a
cocoon
big glowing cocoon.
in the middle of obviously where the power is meant to, where
Yeah.
uh, the chimney is it called at the plant? Are they called chimneys? I
I
swear they're called chimneys.
think that yeah.
Well, obviously that used to be. There's a big massive fucking cocoon there.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what's
And
going on here?
it's flashing, it's glowing.
It's like boom,
And
boom,
we
boom,
hear the
boom, boom.
we hear the scientists as well, don't we? Like talking about like, oh, this one's like that
Feeding
was
on the energy, isn't it?
yeah, and talk about like, each cycle it's been doing. That one was 6 seconds apart or something.
Yeah, and this is where obviously Dr. Cerezo was reintroduced as he's been working there,
Mm-hmm.
and he's obviously looking at all the stuff until he's told that obviously Joe's there, and he sort of just waves it off at first. They're like, he's got files from the day, and they're like, oh, we're gonna go speak to him now, and then obviously goes to see him, and he listens to the speech. He believes obviously everything's bullshit. He's like, this is not a natural disaster. It wasn't an earthquake. It wasn't a typhoon.
Mm.
And he's like, you're hiding something out there. And he obviously then screams that his wife died here. And eventually, obviously, it leads into saying, whatever's out here is going to send us back to the Stone Age.
Mm.
Which I always want to state here, This is why they hired Bryan Cranston. That was
Yeah,
one fucking great speech.
it was good.
That speech obviously showcases his incredible acting, and it was obviously used within the trailer. And that was one of the things that sold me when I first saw the trailer back in, I think it was 2013. The first trailer came out,
Mm.
and it's even better in the context of the film.
Oh yeah,
It
you
just
can see the effect it
amazing.
has on him as well. On
Exactly.
the
You can see his facial expressions as well. When he's doing it. You're like, it's obviously he's pissed off at his facial expression, but then he starts going more sad when he's obviously
mm.
screaming that his wife died, and then he goes back to a bit more pissed off and he's angry. I'm just like, okay. And obviously at the same point when he's doing his speech, he's obviously saying, "I want to see my son," and he looks at a guy next to him. He's like, "You know where he is. You know where he is."
And he starts speaking Japanese as well because obviously
Yeah, he starts
within
speaking Japanese to
in
him.
Japan.
But yeah, this is just getting on the right track. What you're missing now, obviously, Godzilla, after seeing this fucking amazing speech.
Yeah.
So, anywho, from that great speech, you then get the power begin to act up even more, which
Mm.
obviously reveals, as I said, the creature's actually feeding on the radiation from the plant,
Mm.
which is why obviously there's no radiation in the city. It's gone nom on it, and it's trying to escape its cocoon, which drives Doctor Sarazawa to say, "Kill it,"
Get it?
which they think they do. The zappy, 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 zappy.
Like there's no life signs. It's all fine.
Yeah, and then you get the
And
movement inside, and it
yeah,
bursts out.
no, he's not dead.
And when it bursts out, you see the design for it, and I think it's very unique and good
Oh yeah.
looking. And on top of that, it's got incredible CGI. I think.
Oh definitely.
I think after watching, no offense to your favorite movies, after seeing all those CGI throughout the last month, I think this is just incredible to see. It's like a breath of fresh air to go, this is some great CG. It also helps, obviously, it's in dark. The
mm.
darkness sort of obviously helps it look even greater. Makes it look more monstrous and awesome. But yeah, no offense to your two favourite films. CG was shit. This is good CG.
I I have nothing to say to that.
It's true, though.
Yeah, but it's still not as good because it's not as Scooby Dooey.
In your eyes, maybe.
You don't get to see Shaggy with boobs.
But anywho, the creature starts rampaging, destroying the facility. Joe somehow manages to get out of his room, starts wandering around.
Because the power went out, didn't it?
Yeah, door open, I think it was, wasn't it? And he gets out.
Hmm.
Ford at this moment is still locked within the truck. Monster attacks, takes out took a train, I think it was, wipes out the bridge.
It's because it got trapped on the wires, so it was trying to
That was
pull
it.
the wires
And
down.
it brought the crane down on top of the bridge,
Yeah.
taking out loads of workers.
Some
Ford,
random like guy was like and just
yeah,
falling.
Ford. Joe tried to save him, and obviously still ran out. He died. Uh,
Yeah.
Ford tries to get the truck. Truck gets hit, starts rolling
Mhm.
around, and then as he escapes, he watches on as the bridge finally collapses and
Yeah.
takes out his dad with it, which
Hmm.
is breathtaking moment.
Obviously, like, he's not like dead there, but he's like he's
Exactly, because
dying.
as the audience, you don't know if he's dead or not. You're
Yeah.
watching like, shit, did he just die? Cause you look at that and you think he could easily have died from that. And you're
Mm.
like, but has he? Because he's like the best character in this film. And it's also good as well because then you get the scene when Ford puts his mask on. You see it from his like point of view, the monster like just
Yeah.
standing there like roaring before it opens its wings and takes flight, since this one can fly.
Mm.
And I just really love the scene. Obviously, it's a great way of introducing one of the two evil monsters, and it does enough, I think, to draw the audience in to the screen wanting more. Because it drew me in, going, "Fuck, I
Yeah.
want to see more of this." I think that's just a great start for
Mm.
this monster. And as you say, then it's revealed that Joe's still alive, but needing obviously medical help,
But
and
yeah,
that Doctor Sarazawa has requested he and Ford go with them to a military carrier.
but obviously during that
The flight, yeah, Joe begins
he
to
died.
crash, and alas, he's dead.
Mhm.
which you find out after Sozo meets
Mm.
the Admiral William, I believe his name was, William
Mm.
Stentz. He meets him, and who only has a bit part in this, but will play a significant moment in the sequel.
Yeah.
And as I say, Vivian comes out, tells Dr. Sarazoa Joe's dead. You need to go and see him.
But his son's still here.
And obviously
I
they
want out to him.
rush off to go see. And yes, they did just kill off the best character in this fucking movie. And no offense to Aaron Taylor Johnson, he just doesn't live up to the Bryan Cranston because he just plays the
Mm.
generic soldier who wants to save his family sort of role.
Yeah, a little bit generic, but this is
Best thing
America.
we got. Best thing we got, an Englishman playing an American
Mhm.
who's also playing someone who is definitely not related to another character in another film
Yeah,
franchise.
he's, he's definitely not from Sokovia and fucking his twin sister. Totally not.
Anyway, they have a meeting where they run forward through everything, where it's
Mm.
obviously revealed that credit sequence at the start, what that was all about, the fact that obviously it wasn't a test, they were actually trying to kill the creature,
Mhm.
which Cesaro dubs Godzilla. Did he say Godzilla or did he go Gojira first?
I think he was like saying their version of saying Godzilla,
Can't remember. I'm pretty certain he might have said actually just Godzilla first.
but like in a very heavy Japanese
Japanese
accent
accent, yeah, which we're not going to
because
do.
then you tell me.
Yeah. And they obviously then reveal the power plant meltdown 15 years prior was down to the creature that's just escaped.
Mhm.
And
No, because
that
that was his face.
uh, Ford reveals us that his dad was studying a vocal uh, pattern, so it sounded like
Mm.
someone was talking. And they're like,
Echolocation.
oh, yeah, that was it, echolocation. And they obviously believe it could be the Muto talking with Summit. And
Mm.
they sort of believe it may be Godzilla, but they
Yeah.
aren't too sure. And then on top of that, Sarah's like, okay, Godzilla's the one that anyway that's going to restore balance to the world. So I'm really happy that they explained the opening sequence into detail, what it was all about, and
Mm.
didn't obviously just expect the audience to go, oh yeah, I know that, it's just them trying to blow up Godzilla or something.
And they even explained Godzilla's origins as well.
Exactly.
You know,
So,
like about how the whole fact that they're from a time when the nuclear radiation of the planet was so high that only a species that fed on radiation could survive.
yeah, I think that's a great thing for them to done, which is a great way of pretty much hitting the halfway point of this movie.
Mm.
And on top of that, you also get, as I said, the verbal introduction of Godzilla. So, you can't complain there. You may not have seen him, but you got the verbal introduction of he's out there and he's coming. You're like,
Yeah.
okay. We're getting into it. Let's get him on the fucking big screen, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, after this little chat, before he goes off to phone his wife, obviously lets her know his dad's dead, but she doesn't obviously answer.
He's
And
dealing with a little kid trying to brush his teeth.
yeah,
Brush your teeth, right, you little shit.
at the same time, Dr.
Never been so
Sarazawa
good.
and Vivian find out that something's responded to the Muto's call, and they're like, "Oh, what's
Mm.
this?" And it obviously cuts into Ford on a train in Hawaii, where
Mm.
he has to help that kid whose parents
Because the kid
are off the
gets like,
train,
oh, a toy, and gets trapped from his parents, and like, oh shit.
and obviously
So he goes, don't
Ford,
worry.
utilizes Japanese lingo to say, "Yeah, I'll bring him back." Well, when I say Japanese lingo, he says a brief thing in Japanese, then just starts
And
yelling,
then,
"I'll bring him back."
yeah,
Go on,
he,
sit down, sit down. Here's a
he
toy.
thinks he's talking English. Japanese kid.
And
'Cause,
obviously, while this is happening, a group of soldiers track down a nuclear Russian sub that's disappears, and then find
mhm.
it covered in some goo, weird gooey
Oh,
stuff. Right before they spot the Muto above chewing down on a fucking nuclear bomb.
nom nom nom.
Nom nom nom, this is my nuke.
Mm.
Now, so this causes Dr. Sarah to bolt from the room they're watching on the cameras. And they're like, oh, where are you going? He's like, he's coming. and I want to
Yeah, 'cause
see
they
it.
mentioned that there was like another signal coming,
Yeah, and they're
like
like, he's
another
coming. I want to go see
bogey.
him. And
Uh,
this
that
scene
little
just got me
mm,
jumping. I was like, yes, yes, yes.
that first shot when you see him, like the spines going through the water and then just diving down, it was
Yeah.
pretty fucking epic.
He's like, oh,
Must
oh,
admit.
oh, 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 oh. And obviously
And
then,
mm, that do you remember the bit where like when it dives down and like you can feel like you can see the water moving around, the ship moving.
yeah.
It's great because I've seen that as well. Because this is the biggest we've ever seen Godzilla. Remember correctly?
I believe he's uh, up until the point of the new one, I believe he's the
Yeah,
biggest Godzilla to have been
but
seen.
at the time he was.
At the time. But
Yeah, which is
obviously
why I
that's
think
not,
is well the reason why they didn't show him as much like at the start because it's supposed to it's building up to him showing how powerful he is. That even scene when he goes into water, you see a bit of how big he is, but it doesn't reveal the full extent.
thing is, uh, it wasn't even just beat by the the new one, which obviously added more size to him.
Mm,
Uh, he was actually beat by the anime Godzilla, if I remember correctly.
mm,
Uh, who, oh, how big was he? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head how big he was. Um, he's like fucking ginormous. 300 meters according to this.
mm,
Whereas the MonsterVerse Godzilla is actually just like shy of 120 meters.
really?
But the Godzilla from the anime trilogy is more than 300 meters tall. He's
Mm,
fucking ginormous, but that's because uh, he's obviously been on Earth for like 20,000 years,
yeah,
and he's just been growing and growing and growing. But
that
yeah,
was at the time.
an anime that started great and just died
Mm.
really badly.
But
Anyway,
like in the actual like when this film came out though, I
yeah,
remember like everyone always saying this
when
is
it
the
first came
biggest
out,
we've
it was the
seen
biggest Godzilla that been. Yeah, it was bigger than the Japanese one.
because that was
Obviously,
explosive too.
exactly. A lot of people referred to this as Fat Godzilla. I think they called him at the time.
Yeah, because he was a big chumpy.
Yeah,
He was a
compared
bit
to obviously the one they knew, the shitty American one from fucking the 90s. He was obviously really thin and scrawny like a fucking T Rex.
yeah because he
Not
was shit.
Godzilla at all. It's actually Zilla Jr., which,
Mm.
if you ever seen the Godzilla Final Wars movie, I believe it was, the Japanese one from 2004, I'm saying off the top of my head, the aliens in that film actually summon Zilla Jr. to fight Godzilla, and Godzilla just kicks his ass in like 5 seconds flat. And I'm just like,
Weak as fuck.
good on you, Japan. Good on you. But anyway, yeah, so as the goes on, then you obviously, as you say,
Mm.
and he sort of he appears, goes under. The water starts messing and going
Mm.
outwards towards signaling there's a tsunami on the way. Because
Yeah,
the only person who notices at first was the little girl, because everyone's watching the explosion in the distance from the
yeah,
fighting, and she notices. She's like, "Oh, Dad," and then he's like, "Oh, shit!" And the sirens go off, which is like the second time we've heard tsunami sirens. The last time was Bait 3D.
yeah,
But, this is a bit more of a bigger extent for the fact there's a giant ass fucking monster coming with a tsunami, not
yeah.
just
This is
sharks.
longest ship with sharks in it to a fucking big ass lizard boy.
And yeah, right before this obviously tsunami starts going,
Mm.
the actual monster emits a EMP, like blast, so it shuts
Yeah,
down everything, including the uh, train that
train.
Ford's on.
Mm.
And he's like trying to tell the kid, "Oh, don't worry, I'll be back on in a minute." And as you said, then the tsunami hits. Again, some more good visual effects here. I've
Oh
seen like a lot of like disaster movies where they do like tsunamis and they look fucking awful.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Geostorm's probably a good example of that. It's a
Yeah.
movie fully about loads of disasters, and some of the times it's not that great looking. But this was good looking.
Oh, definitely.
And obviously,
Even when like tsunami isn't the big point of the film,
no,
yet
and it's
they could do
fucking
that
good
better
looking.
than a film that was whole around natural disasters.
Thank God they put a lot of effort into making these
Oh yeah.
effects. Anyway, after it hits, soldiers shoot flares into the sky again. Another fucking scene I
Oh,
love,
that shot was
which
fucking amazing.
when the
Like
flares go up and it's like boom, 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 boom,
the fact as
and
well, you see the flares, but you don't actually see him.
you see
It
the side of
works
him,
really well.
and you hear the
Yeah.
that sound like, boom, and it's like, yep, yep. and the next minute they're like all open fire on him,
Yeah.
and then he cuts to his tail like, moving behind a building, and he's like, okay, I'm loving this build up here. Doesn't give you them all at once, but it's fucking
Yep.
teasing him. I can't wait. It's even better fucking scenes coming up shortly,
Oh yeah,
which
definitely.
is one of my favourites of this film. Hold on a
I've
second.
written down like it's massive, big scrawled in massive writing.
I've been talking too long. I need a drink.
Mm.
Anyway,
So the lights come back on the train. Like, yeah, I told you to come on. And then on the rails, the lights all coming on slowly.
on the
It
fucking
reveals
rails, fucking Muto,
the meter there. Oh, it's good.
and it's like, oh
Not as
shit,
good as you hear the noise.
yeah, the scene that's going up in a minute. But yeah, he's revealed on the track, and they're like, oh shit, and he's attacking some planes, wiping out the fucking the train tracks, which obviously causes Ford to have to save that kid, since
Yeah.
he's sliding down. He's like grabs him. He's like, "I've got you. Don't worry." And so plane's coming down, and that geezer comes to that plane looking at the Muto, isn't he? And the water starts
Yeah.
flooding around his feet. And he's like, "What's going on?" And then, whoa! One of my favourite scenes of this movie. Camera
Oh,
slowly pans up as the people scream until it's fully revealed Godzilla,
oh, it's
and he
fucking
lets off
good.
one terrifying fucking roar.
I put like the pan up raw. Fucking amazing.
I know
Really
the scene
massive.
ends here, but
Yeah.
he still got that few seconds of screen time he had. It's just so fucking good, and it's a great
Yeah.
introduction of Godzilla. It's the camera angling. I'll be saying this over and over again for other scenes. The camera angling and the musical score in this background for this scene was just fucking amazing, and it just buzzed me. And on top of that, as it carried on, you still got to see the fight slightly on the TV, so it
Yeah.
didn't just end there. It still was like, oh yeah, well, and like make some good CGI here for fucking the little fighting on the fucking TV screen. As
Like the
obviously
idea is
the kid
they're
sees him
still
fighting.
fighting.
Yeah,
But
the kid's
obviously,
obviously
like
watching
so
it on
the
the news.
Muto is the easy one, the fast one.
Yeah,
So
he's the
it's
fly
like
one,
can fly, so that's why it's surviving quite long.
and obviously Sam's obviously watching it. Tells his mom.
Mm.
She looks and she's like really shocked. I just
Look,
want to note.
mommy, dinosaurs.
I also want to note the last name is Brody.
Yeah. When you like said Ellen Brody, I was like, hang on a minute, isn't that no? I was like, it goes getting a bit confused between Jaws and Godzilla when you said
No,
that
it's
at one
L
point.
Brody. It's not Ellen. It's L. E-double-L-E. L.
Oh wow, you were getting me confused, nice.
But anyway, back in Hawaii, Ford finds
That's
the
why you
kid's
call me
family.
Tom Which.
Well, the kid finds his own family, more or less, and Ford
Mhm.
rejoins up with some soldiers as they were trying to get home. Back on the character, you have Dr. Serizawa revealed that Muto is heading to Nevada,
Mhm.
or Nevada, sorry.
Nevada, because that's where all the nuclear
Yeah,
waste is
because they're
stored.
like, oh, where we had
We
the dead
found
spore, which we
yeah,
think's alive, and there's like, where do you keep your fucking nuclear junk? And they're like, oh shit, and then it cuts to the trucks driving towards something. And again, another good shot there. Another great fucking shot from above. As obviously they get into the place, find out the sport's hatched. And the second Muto is on the loose, which is fully confirmed when we obviously see Las Vegas.
oh god,
It
yeah.
has a massive fucking hole in it. And obviously you see the Muto the fucking tear through buildings. Like, oh shit. And it's like,
That
okay,
is
this one's a lot bigger than the last one.
a big goal. Like 300 feet, I think they said on the thing.
Uh,
She said it's about 300 feet.
I don't know about. I don't think she's that. She's been the same sort of Godzilla, wasn't she?
That feet, not meters.
Can't
Yeah,
off the top of my head.
they use feet in the film.
I've watched about 5 films since watching this. But yeah, so obviously you see it, and as you say, it's revealed in a bit. It's gonna be he's an action female, but I feel like as well. Them destroying Vegas is just an excuse for them to play an Elvis song in the background,
Yeah, I knew
which I'm not
that's what they
complaining.
do.
I could listen to these tunes all day
Walk
long,
like
but
an angel.
exactly, it kind of feels like a missed opportunity that I didn't play fucking Viva Las Vegas in the background.
It was good though.
But yeah,
Like, no
it's just
idea what
next.
that thing was used, but like,
It's just like an excuse to have that in there as they're
yeah,
looking on as it's just total destruction of Vegas.
Oh,
before cutting obviously back to the carrier where the three watch this beast. As obviously the carrier's still following Godzilla because it's still in front of them. It's
yeah.
still swimming in front and they're following it. And Doctor and Vivian, this is where they reveal that the monster's bigger size because it's female, like most
Mhm.
animal species. The females tend to be the bigger of the
Yeah.
species.
More
And
aggressive species sometimes.
exactly. And I do love the next scene where obviously Sarah hands the Admiral a watch, which
Yeah.
isn't a major scene, but you're like, okay, this is a nice little scene. And he's like, oh, it's broken, it's stopped. And he's like, he tells him the date,
Mm.
obviously August 6th, 1945, and the Admiral
Yeah.
instantly recognises the date, looks up and goes, Hiroshima,
Yeah, which
which,
I think is good as well because obviously that was during time of conflict between Japan and America, where now it's like they're together in a way. Or
yeah, in
work.
this one scene,
Mm.
they're working together, which he obviously says his father was at Hiroshima when the bomb went off.
Yeah.
It's the watch belonged to him. And I'm just like, that's a really nice scene. They didn't have to include it, but I'm glad they did 'cause it was a really nice scene to include.
Mm.
And obviously, then it pans back to Hawaii, where Ford gets the military to agree to let him tag along. And
Mm.
obviously, he contacts his wife then finally. Uh, you get some good acting from Elizabeth Olsen here.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, that speech she was given on the phone to him, and she's like really upset, like saying, "I just want you to come home." That was a really great scene from her. Probably her best scene in the entire movie. No
She doesn't
offense,
get
it's just
much
that
screen.
she's obviously like I say she doesn't get much screen time, but this one scene when she does get a decent amount of screen time, she's good. Uh, and the next scene is only a brief, but it just shows the carnage that the Mutos cause. And you see tons of like
Mm.
cars stuck in traffic piled up, and you see like a
Oh yeah.
massive plane that's been brought down more than likely by the flying one or it's an EMP burst.
Yeah,
Again,
most likely would
another
be.
great camera shot here from above.
Mm.
This is, if I'm correct, this is like the opening scene from the trailer as well, or one of the scenes in the trailer. He's like, oh, okay, okay. But yeah, another great scene here. And the next scene following is obviously Ford with the military, where he helps deliver the nuclear weapon by train. They want to use it against the Muto, but
Mm.
they are forced to stop as they're obviously witnessing an attack in the distance.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And again, another good shot when Ford's standing there, look at the tunnel. He's like, there's something happening. And he's like, that's a decent angle. And then uh, it goes across the bridge right before
Mm.
obviously the Muto attacks. But again, it obviously after before it tracks at the train. What I want to say is I love the sequence when Ford and that other soldier, I don't remember the guy's name, uh,
Mm.
pretty much because this is his one scene gone. Um,
Yeah.
when they're standing on the track, trying to obviously contact the others through the radio, you can just see the Muto slowly moving behind them.
Yeah, you can.
And I'm just like, oh, that's a good shot. That's a really good shot, that was. You're like,
You,
oh.
you could tell they were setting up the shot of them moving from the way the angle was done, but it was like you looking out for it, like, oh, there it is moved.
And obviously then you get the leg move next to it, which is another good shot
Mm.
as well. And you're like, oh, shit. And he's like, quick, get down. But obviously they end up taking out the train, taking the bomb, and completely wiping him off the track.
Yeah.
See, I know some that might complain that obviously the movie's quite dark and really not greatly lit at times. But as I said earlier, this works in its favour for obviously the CG because it makes it look a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think it adds more tension and how
Mm.
do I say this? Like visual style. I think it looks better being dark.
Visually, it would work. It works better than being in the dark because one, it's a dark time. That's the idea. It's like it's supposed to show like it's like a very tense moment, but also like, it works with the designs of the of the actual monsters. The Mutos,
Exactly.
they got glowing orange eyes, which contrasts well with the dark. But
Exactly.
obviously, it helps during the fight with Godzilla visually for the bit, the end bit, shall we say,
Yeah,
the breath,
exactly.
which we'll get onto when we
Whereas
get to it.
obviously the sequel goes more with at times it's more light, so you see a lot more of the action in the day. But even
Yeah,
when it's night time, you get a more brighter night, so it's not as like
like,
pitch black. It's like it's
mm,
night, but not pitch black, so it's like decently lit still. But I think for the fact this is moving to be a bit more grittier than what that one ends up
Yeah.
being later on, I think it fucking massively works in this film's favour.
Oh, definitely.
And so anyway, after that scene, you see it's when Godzilla submerges, isn't it, into the water. They go
Mhm.
after the Muto.
Because it changes course slightly,
Yeah, and he's like, oh, it's
goes
changing
faster
course.
than them.
And the Ford is then found by the soldiers who say, "I need
Mhm.
medical treatment because he come off the bridge, didn't he?" And the other guy, who again I can't remember
Yeah.
his name because he died quite quickly, he's taken out. So they're like, "Okay, we need to get him out of here." And you find out at this point that they plan to lure all three to a convergence point
Mm.
below at one point.
And nuclear.
Yeah, obviously they plan to nuke them, and which one's the next scene? The next scene is the military evacuating San Francisco, isn't it?
Yes. They're all
And
backing everyone.
yeah, they're taking everyone out of there. They're like, oh, kids and like, people seriously ill on the
And
buses, get them out of
stormtroopers.
here.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ellen, Elle, you make me want to say Ellen,
Scarlet
Tulsa.
Witch stays
Uh,
behind.
yeah, she's like, oh, take my son, get him out of here. Okay, we get him out of here,
Yeah.
and get him off the bus. And this is another sequence I fucking love. So, as they're heading across the bridge, you have the roar of Godzilla, which
Oh yeah.
echoes through obviously everyone's ears on the bus, and you see the bus driver's face like, what the hell? And he's like,
'Cause all, yeah.
okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? And obviously then you have the bird hit the bus, and all the birds fly over.
Yeah.
It's like, definitely something happening now.
And that
And
that addition to seagulls is genius though, because like it shows as well. Just
something's coming.
yeah.
So if you look at
And
any sort of disaster movie like we did with
mm,
Bait, the seagulls fly over before the tsunami, like, okay, something's coming here.
mm.
Animals know shit happens.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
and obviously you see Godzilla's fucking breach the water, and he's slowly coming towards the soldiers, and he stops, and his tail lifts up, and the soldiers then start screaming open fire, and they start firing,
Mm.
missiles flying everywhere, fucking almost taking out the bridge, and then
Stupid.
the bus driver puts his foot down, gets past them all,
Yeah.
right before Godzilla fully rises for that one scene. Again, they keep firing at him, even though they're trying. They're safe here. They're still fucking trying to kill him. Which is the difference
Mm.
between this film and the next film, because in the next film they're like, oh, he's a guardian, we'll watch him. And this time they're like, oh no, we'll fucking kill him as soon as we see him.
Oh yeah. The first one, they don't really know much. They've been told things from one random Japanese guy, but they all probably see him as like not trusting the thing. Nah, we'll just shoot him. They're all monsters to fight him.
Yeah, after obviously you rise above the ocean, you obviously let off one massive roar,
Mm.
and just as this, the bus managed to get off the bridge, so the kids are safe now. And again, this is another reason I love this film because it's got such a great scene with this. Literally every scene with Godzilla, they made this epic for the fact that obviously he's
Oh
not
yeah.
in it that much, but when he's in it, you want this to be memorable. You don't want it to just be like, oh, I don't remember that film. What was it, Godzilla 2014? I don't remember that one. They wanted every scene he's
Mm.
in to be this
Yeah.
memorable scene, and this was another one. I think it helps the fog that surrounds in the scene as well. It just adds atmosphere to it. And it's like, yeah, I
Mm.
love that. And obviously,
Yeah.
then
It's good. It's good.
the next scene is the ship losing power,
Mm.
and they're like, wait, the detonators stop working. What's going on here? And then from the sky, you see all the planes falling down, and then obviously Elizabeth Olsen at this point, she sees obviously the parachuting people because their plane's gone down. And as you
Yeah.
say, then you see the Muto just fucking dive bomb in another great shot, seen from with the camera looking up as it dives down,
Oh yeah.
and it obviously takes them out. Because obviously at this point you can realise, okay, it's let off an EMP, it's took out everything. That's why, and
Mm.
it obviously flies into the city after destroying this fucking carrier,
Yeah.
and meets up with the female Muto, and they have a little
Yeah.
smoochy.
Cause he's basically like, I got you a gift. It's a nuclear bomb.
And obviously flies away, leaving the female just digging a hole in the ground,
Yeah.
which she's going to play a bit in a bit, a bit in a bit. Um, so And I also though love the speech given by Bryan Cranston, which obviously is a great performance in that speech. But the
Mm,
one speech that I always remember is the next scene with Dr. Sarazawa, where
yeah,
he wants to let them fight speech, and obviously speaking to the admiral, he's like, "Do you think Godzilla can win?" And he gives a speech of the arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control and not the other way around.
yeah.
Let them fight. And I was like,
Oh,
this is a great speech to kick off the big ending for this movie. And it then cuts to L running to the bunker as the Muto and Godzilla is colliding the city.
yeah.
And it
Like,
shuts just as Godzilla has that roar and snap.
because she's running away from the Muto, and then when she turns around, she sees
Godzilla's standing
Godzilla, and
there in
it's
his
like, oh,
almightiness.
oh. Because like the idea is like they're so big and powerful that when they're fighting, they don't really focus on the individuals that are on the floor because they're not as important. What's important is defeating these mutos.
Exactly. And I just love the scene when the door the shuts as you see like the action is colliding. It's like that's really
Mm.
good. Another good shot of this movie. That's all I can.
Mm.
I just can't speak enough about the cinematography for this film. It's
Oh
really
yes,
good.
brilliant.
It's cinematography wise, it's probably the best we've seen since Jaws. No offense to all the other films we've seen; they've got decent cinematography, but this
Yeah.
film has been shot incredibly.
Oh yeah, like then the cave scene and every scene with Godzilla really shot
It's exactly.
brilliant. So beautiful
So
to watch.
anyway, the next thing is forward on a plane because they now between this now they've come up with a plan that they need to go into the city, get the
Yeah.
bomb, and get it out of there before it blows up the entire
Mm.
city.
But the plan A
So
was to disable it, but if they can't, plan B is to get it far away as possible.
obviously let it detonate by itself.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, how are we going to get in there? They're like, okay, we'll take a plane above the atmosphere where the EMP doesn't affect, and we'll drop you in. And this leads to some more great fucking cinematography here. So obviously the plane
Mm.
goes up, opens up here, the beep, beep, as obviously they're getting the masks on and everything, and they start all walking
Yeah.
towards. And they all obviously jump out the plane, and you have to agree with me here, this is an incredible looking scene.
Oh yeah.
And you see
Like
the red smoke coming from
they're
them.
falling, like as they're falling, and you see that they're from their perspective as well. Like
Yeah,
in the
so
goggle, and you see they're
it's like a
fighting.
mixture, isn't it? It's a mixture from their
Yeah.
perspective and zoomed out, overseeing the red smoke descending from the sky in like an
Oh,
already red fucking city on fire, and
mm.
it helps that score in the background, that really like sort of satanic sounding like uh
Yeah.
womanly sort of weird. I don't know how to put it. Like
the
I don't know. I don't know how to explain how the sound. It's just like someone screeching, but in like a good
mm.
way, not a bad way.
It's like
But yeah,
screaming music, but not at the same time.
exactly. Obviously, then as soon as they obviously land, he follows the soldiers as they're making their way to the destination until they encounter the female Muto, which obviously causes them to
Mm.
stop as she's giving birth. And then
Yeah.
the music hits. A great little tune, just a few sounds, as from the dust and rubble, you see a tail begin to move. So a
Yeah.
small flash of light from the
Oh
lightning reveals Godzilla, who stands
god.
tall, moves forward, and lets off another incredible
Oh,
fucking roar.
it's
Not just a
good.
small little roar, a fucking big roar.
It's so good because like the music's all quiet
Yeah, it's
and silent while it's happening, and then he just breaks it with the roar.
yeah. This is what helps this film is its fucking uh
The soundtrack, the
its
cinematography,
soundtrack. Yeah,
oh, the
even though
story,
even though it was a few
good.
sounds as well. Because obviously sometimes a lot of films just put this massive like tune in the background to reveal he's there, but it didn't. It was
Yeah.
just a couple of sounds, like a couple of things, and then he's there, and you're like, shit. It's the lightning as well. It gets me when it flashes, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And the tail, just when it starts moving, that's another bit that gets me. I love this scene that much. When I was watching it, because I was typing at the time, I stopped typing. After I finished it, I rewound the DVD just to rewatch the scene. So this gets me buzzed every time. And it obviously helps us to say with the amazing CGI in the background, used for obviously the Godzilla and the Muso itself. Uh, it's just it's just amazing. Oh, and yeah, they start scrapping when the soldiers are running away.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Scrap,
fucking
scrap.
hell, man. It's a great scene. Anyway, so the soldiers finally reach the destination and begin to obviously try and get the bomb down. While Godzilla continues to brawl with the Muto, which causes them to crash slightly into the bunker where Elle is. Which obviously quickly swerves away from that because the male arrives, attacks Godzilla, forcing him to have to fight
Yeah.
both. But at the moment, he's getting his ass kicked.
Oh yeah, because like two at one.
Yeah,
One's
two
like
big
the
fuckers
same
v one.
size, and one's fly about.
Exactly. So the soldiers, obviously, on the other hand, are now forced to obviously carry the bomb because they realise they can't open the
Yeah,
door.
because
They
it's too
need to get the
damaged.
explosive out. And then they're like, okay, it's too damaged. We'll start moving. And so this obviously is
Mm,
shot side by side with Godzilla fighting. They get the bomb,
yeah,
start walking away. Again, this is some more great score in the background for this. So Godzilla's pretty much losing here, and uh, Ford realizes, okay, I need to take out his egg. So he
because
obviously causes the whole
there's
place
eggs
to,
around the nuclear bomb, and like the fact that all the army people are just like ignoring it, really. Like this is more
exactly, they've all
important.
buggered off. Obviously, he's
Yeah,
like,
he's like, well,
he looks at
thankfully,
Godzilla and he's like, okay, I need to take out his eggs. Because
yeah,
the thing is, when Godzilla's fighting these two Mutos in this scene just before obviously it blows up, there's no sound whatsoever apart from like
yeah,
they literally just turn the music, like the Godzilla and the Mutos like roars down to minimum, and it works so much for this film, this scene in
yeah,
general, because it just builds the tension. So you're like, oh, this is good, this is good. And as you say, then Ford blows up the eggs,
egg.
which obviously gives Godzilla the advantage here
Yeah, because
and a bit
obviously
of breathing
the
room.
Mutos are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because
The
obviously
female
she's
Muto
now,
goes over and she's crying. Well, a version of like being upset,
yeah, and obviously she
angry.
looks at Ford and she's like, I'm going to kill you now. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
the blue
The
light starts to go up the back of the fucking tail as Godzilla just
oh,
breathes in and lets off an atomic breath.
so
Oh!
good. Like literally, Aiden Sprawl as well. Fucking atomic blast. Fucking amazing.
And obviously,
So
blasts her aside.
yeah,
Uh,
obviously it doesn't really affect her as much
Again,
because
the music in the background of this scene is just incredible, and the cinematography at the same time.
yeah,
There's not a limit of times we can ever say how good the cinematography and music is in this film. It's just
because it's
incredible.
good. Like as well, the moments about the darkness, the
Yeah, and the
it
blue
works
light going
well
up.
with the atomic breath. The light
Exactly.
just like overpower, and it's like, oh, it's godly.
Exactly. And from this scene, then the male Muto rejoins in and fights Godzilla, allowing the
Yeah,
female to, chase after the bomb. She can see where it's going. She's like, I'm going to get there. And
yeah,
she chases him to the boat. And this is the male's downfall because Godzilla bides his time now as he's watching it fly around. And
yeah.
enough's enough. It flies straight at him. And one swoop with that tail, a big,
Oh
massive
yeah.
fucking tail, slams it into a building. And that is it. The
It's
male
basically
Muto
it
is
gets
dead.
basically crushed and stabbed at the same time. Like
Exactly.
you can see bits of the building sticking through him. Like it's probably some of like Godzilla's spikes have probably stabbed him as well.
Yeah. Following that, he then falls down. Godzilla does.
Hmm.
We've owned this. What you can hear in the background is the screams of L. You can hear like
Yeah,
crying over the top of obviously Godzilla going oh as he falls
yeah.
down.
Obviously the building's crushing. It looks like it's crushing him.
And another fine scene in this movie,
Like
and then puts to the female Muto, find him at the boat, which obviously she gets there just as Ford also gets there, but so she's
mm,
she takes him out. Badass tune kicks in the background. She's killing all the soldiers. Ford jumps on the boat where the bomb is, starts driving away, but power cuts out.
mm.
She's EMP'd it. Attention's drawn to him. But as she approaches, she's out of fucking luck as
Hey,
Godzilla grabs her from
like
behind
hello, bitch.
with his mouth, obviously at this point. He then opens her mouth with his
Yeah,
arm, similar to Pong in the Peter Jackson King Kong movie
yeah.
when he snaps the V Rex's mouth. Opens the mouth, builds up the atomic breath, fires on in.
Because obviously the whole point of the Mutos is their skin is resistant to the blast, not the inside. Hence why he has to do it inside of her.
and he
Actually,
pretty much rips her head clean off with the blast,
oh yeah.
which it looks fucking incredible. And it's over then when the victory music pretty much plays in the background, because it pretty much was victory music playing.
Mm.
Like, do-do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do. And you're like, yeah, that was amazing. He killed both of them in two different ways, but both equally
Mm.
as epic. But I do prefer the female one to death,
Oh
just
yeah,
because it
because
was
it's
done by the atomic breath.
quite light, pretty
Exactly.
light.
And after a short time, Ford's boat restarts again, starts driving
Mm.
out. He watches on as Godzilla again, collapses for like the fucking second time then. Um, and you think, oh, he's going to die now. Chopper comes in, gets him off the fucking boat.
Yeah,
Explosion.
obviously it's more
And
safe distance.
that's it for the night time. It cuts to today, then you see a very dead looking Godzilla on the floor. Which
And
obviously
everyone's all
Dr. Sarazo's looking at
groaning it.
it. Like, oh no, he's dead. Oh. And he starts to move.
Yeah, but the big breathe and then like starts moving.
Yeah, I do love the fact they make it look like he's dead. That's really
Yeah.
clever. It look straight up. You look at that and you're like, I'm pretty certain that's one dead fucking giant monster because it just looked dead.
Mm.
And obviously he started
Yeah,
moving,
it's
but
a
then
big
it cuts
breathe.
to Ford. Then obviously with his son, and obviously Ford's on crutches now because he's injured. And his son runs off and he's like, I come back here. And the next minute his wife's there. Oh, hug out. Oh, yeah, yeah. And then they look at the screen
And they see
as
him
Godzilla
moving.
rises and starts walking towards the ocean with
Yeah,
the
and
title above on the news
yeah,
saying King of Monsters.
is he our savior? Or something like
Yeah. And then he obviously walks towards the edge of the water, lets off one massive final roar before entering the ocean and descending, and that's literally how the movie ends, which I think is a perfect way to end a great movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It just you want it to end on the raw, and then it could have ended on the raw, but it doesn't. It just has him stop and just swim away, and like, okay, that's a nice way to end
Yeah,
a
because
very good
it's
movie.
like showing his job's done. Time to go back back
Exactly,
home.
and that
Bit
was
like
very nice.
Infinity War when like Thanos killed everyone. In the last scene, is just him
He
sitting
went back to
down.
his farm, did a
Yeah,
little
I'm on the
farming,
farm. Job's done.
bit of farming simulator. I wish they could have like the first hour of Endgame was him farming for an hour.
Oh god,
They could have
yeah.
made Endgame like a 4 hour
4 hours
movie
long.
with the first hour just Thanos farming.
Oh
Anyway, I think it's time for the overall now.
yes.
So for me, this movie is a great piece of cinema,
Mm,
and unlike its sequel, which obviously we'll talk about then, you obviously get very little Godzilla here,
yeah.
but it's a good story, good characters, it's got great acting, and I think that
Hmm.
sort of counters out the little Godzilla in it. So it's sort
Yeah,
of there's like a balancing act here. Uh, Talking of story, I think it's a perfect way to kick off this monster verse. It's a
definitely.
great little story. It's just a basic story. Muto's here. Godzilla needs to come and save everyone. Pretty much that's it. You obviously got the human side of it. Like, okay, we need to kill him, help him. We don't know. And then, as I say, I don't think they could have chosen a better cast for this either.
No.
It's a
No.
shame, obviously. I know I said obviously he's not the best part of this movie, Aaron Taylor Johnson, but it's a shame they didn't bring him back in the sequel because it would have been a bit more sense than just like introducing
Yeah.
brand new characters, like had him carry on his dad's work. But at least we still get Ken Watanabe in the sequel, so good enough, close enough
Mm,
ish. The score for me as well is another reason I love this movie. And as I said many times throughout, I think out of all the movies we've covered so far, it's my second favourite score in the background.
yeah.
Cinematography is just as amazing as well. Great
Mm,
CGI for the monster. I would love more Bryan Cranston, but as we said, he did well, great wise for the scenes we had him in. So you know he served his purpose, and we salute you for that.
definitely.
And the fights between the monsters as well were very well done, and
Oh,
kept me on
definitely.
the edge of my seat every fucking second. So for me, this movie is an 8 out of 10 and a
Hmm.
high 8. So I'd say it's probably my second like favorite on the rankings so far.
Uh,
So and it's only the beginning of this like at the moment free film entry with the fourth next year. So
yeah.
it's going in the right direction.
Well, my overall, the film was visually stunning. I loved the everything about the visual, especially like I said, the atomic scenes were amazing.
Excellent
The
they were.
action was great and didn't overshadow the story, which is what I
Exactly.
loved. Like it's good to have loads of action, but you don't want it overshadowing the story, which is what this doesn't. Like the story is still brilliant,
Yeah, it
and
focused more on story than
yeah,
anything this does.
'cause, like
Whereas obviously the
there's
sequel
some
focuses more on
scenes
action.
where films where they do the action first, then the story. You can tell these ones, it just adds to the story and it makes everything
I think it helps that
brilliant.
obviously Gareth Edwards helming it. He did a decent job, and he obviously said he did a
Yeah,
decent job with Rogue One.
yeah, and
So
the music, as I said, was brilliant, was such good. And I think it's the first time that we've, first time I've ever watched this film, and the first time I've ever put something higher than you, something you actually like that I'm first watched. 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it.
I think that's a decent rating. The only reason I didn't give it a 9 because you'll see why at some point, which I'll say
Yeah,
at a recording for you.
I
So it's
haven't
not less
watched the
spoilery.
second one either.
But
So, but honestly,
yeah, I think
first
at
time
some point
watching it,
as well, we could
really good.
always come back and relook at ratings towards the end of the year. Just
Yeah.
I may have rewatched it and say, okay, I want to change my rating there and give it a different rating. So we could always look at that at the end of the year as like a little special video of us looking back over what we've done. But that gives it a chat cave overall of 8.5, which places
Hmm.
it well joint with Scooby Doo 2, from 2002. Sorry,
Wow.
which also had 8.5. Uh, but I'm trying to think how we did that. I think you gave that a 9. Oh, we both gave that same ratings there. I gave that an 8. You gave that a 9. So
What Scooby Doo?
yeah, you gave that a
Yeah,
9 the
Scooby Doo was
first
10.
one.
Scooby
No,
Doo gave. Oh, the first one.
yeah, you gave that a 9.
Oh, the first one gave 9. Yeah, yeah. The second
So
one I gave 10 because it was
what
10.
what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get the critical score and fan base score for both films and sort of go
Yeah.
off that of where we'll place it because dice it
That,
one. I always said I'll place it quite high. Scooby Doo, 2002. I didn't need to put 2002 because apparently it didn't accept that. So the if I could fucking find it, I would. The Godzilla got a quite decently score on here actually, quite high. Whereas it's not coming
uh,
up for some weird reason. Uh, that one,
got it got the best score rating of all of them. Oh well, looks like Scooby Doo wins.
uh,
Yeah.
75% and 66%. That's not
Fuck.
too bad. That's quite good to be fair.
Yeah, he's great. Wins. Scooby Doo wins.
That wasn't Scooby Doo I'm talking about here.
Fuck. Scooby
Godzilla
Doo.
was that one. I can't fucking find it. I've lost. I've literally. I don't know where it is.
Scooby Doo 100% wins. Yay.
I'm pretty certain it's not 100% on here.
Shut up.
I'm just trying to fucking
Let me
find it, but
let me have this.
oh, now my internet's gone down. It's
Oh no, what a
it's,
winky thing.
have you got my internet connection?
Maybe.
Oh no, I found it.
Oh fuck.
So Scooby Doo had a 30% and 38% score. So
Yes, fuck.
don't worry, you got still Scooby Doo 2 still in second place.
Oh yeah,
It just
best film
means
ever.
Godzilla now places in third place, knocking Scooby Doo 2002 down a ranking fourth,
Oh.
which means George Revenge is finally off our scoreboard.
Hey, fuck
It's
you,
it's
revenge.
no it's no longer in the top 10.
That's our revenge.
Yep. So yeah. So my question of the day for you today is:
Yeah.
if you could have any franchise crossover and collide with Godzilla in like a massive sort of fight, team up, or just colliding in general, what
Yeah.
franchise would you choose, and how would you uh, play it out in your mind?
How franchise that I would choose
Fast and
purely
Furious.
because the fa- the family
What?
action that you would have Godzilla versus Power Rangers.
Ooh.
'Cause I know you'd fucking cream yourself at that.
What? Dragon Sword versus Godzilla. Oh,
See, you're already thinking of it.
oh,
You're already
bastard!
thinking of
I
it,
was creamy pants.
and obviously it would be like at first, oh, are they fighting? No, they're fighting a bad guy, sort of thing. Basically the
That's
usual.
a good idea. I'll get to
And yeah,
working on
don't you
that.
cream yourself?
I actually had two ideas for this. So one's like an actual idea that everyone wants to see, which is Pacific Rim.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to see
that would
that
work.
franchise collide with this because it would work massively. The other one for me would be Clover, the monster from the Cloverfield paradox, that big
As
monster.
long as it's not filmed like the first Clover film.
Yeah, ignore the phone footage. It's an actual proper movie like this.
Yeah,
That's a big monster. So is Godzilla.
yeah.
This isn't like them joining together. This is them just fucking colliding.
We could do Scooby Doo. Mix it
Just
with Scooby Doo.
crushes the Mystery Machine in one blow.
It's
Oh,
just like
Fred's like,
let's
five
reveal who
speed.
Godzilla really is.
Oh, that
Old Man Wickles.
that explains that image I sent you the other day. The Mystery Machine on fire. It was
Yeah.
that Godzilla blew it up. Wow, Ducky chicks
And
turn me on too.
Fred's challenge catchphrase.
But yeah, I think that covers it. Also, that's it. Join us next week as we take a very short break from the Monsterverse as we celebrate James's birthday, which we
Yay.
hopefully have an extra guest.
We can
Hopefully,
fucking
fingers
take
crossed.
away.
As we discuss the other guys, another Will Ferrell
Yeah.
movie. But
Can't wait for the Wheel verse.
until then, I've been your host, the Dragon King Thomas Hughes,
And Raw.
and this has been Chat Cave. You know what? I've done making bad puns, so a simple goodbye would do today. Goodbye.
You know your boy.
Holy crap! It's Godzilla! Yeah. Bye.
We didn't do the racist version either.
Well, I'm not going to do the racist version of mine. I'm not going to get cancelled. So, you know. Bye.